Nobody anticipated the day would get underway in silence. Not from the media, not from the Brown family, and definitely not from Robyn. But as the Flagstaff courtroom doors opened for the third day of hearings, what greeted wasn't chaos, but a taut, near-reverent quiet. Christine sat silent at the plaintiff's table, folded hands resting on top of a manila envelope labeled 2018 Reallocation Plan. Janelle sat beside her, drumming the rim of a binder with a forefinger, lips pursed into a thin line. At the far end of the aisle, Cody stood rigid, arms across his chest, refusing to meet anyone's eye. Not even Robyn, who sat just behind him wearing oversized sunglasses that concealed her eyes. But the shaking hand she used to make adjustments spoke volumes more than any words ever could. As soon as the judge walked in, he hardly looked at the crowded courtroom before putting his papers down and clearing his throat. "We continue hearings today with additional evidence introduced by the plaintiff," he announced, such as financial journals, written communications, and a collection of private recordings on tape that were previously excluded. Robyn's hands tightened on the tissue in her lap. The camera operators on the sidewalk outside had been wheeling about like hawks, waiting for the next revelation, and Christine had come ready to provide it. Not a word spoken, she rose, approached the clerk's desk, and offered up a stickered USB Exhibit G. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. The courtroom screen flared with light, and in 2 seconds, a voice rang out through the room, low, recognizable, and irrevocable. "We tell them it's for property taxes," Cody replied, his voice clipped and authoritative. "But the rest feeds into Robyn's account. That way it's safe." Robyn fidgeted in her seat, her mouth hanging open. Then her voice came on the tape. "Are you certain they won't discover?" "Christine doesn't question anymore. Janelle's too passive. Meri's checked out," Cody said. "We're good." The judge furrowed a brow. "Stop." The sound did, but the tension did not. The judge turned to Robyn, his tone steady but cutting. "Mrs. Brown, do you want to tell us about this conversation before we continue?" Robyn sniffed, moved her sunglasses up her nose, and pulled another tissue out. I don't recall this. It sounds like something personal, not intended." "This court," the judge cut in, "does not care about performance. It cares about the truth. Stop playing games." A murmur of agreement rippled through the courtroom. Robyn stood stock still. The judge's tone had sliced through her drama like a knife. Christine didn't blink. Janelle inched forward. The age of posturing was at an end, and the court, it appeared, had at last exhausted its patience with tears that were not backed by accountability. The silence that followed the judge's curt words wasn't inert, it was charged. Robyn's tears, once her most powerful tool in deflecting responsibility, now seemed to linger in the air like bad perfume, seen-like, and no longer accepted. She squirmed in her chair, holding her tissue tightly with shaking hands, but the sympathy she'd once so freely conjured had dissipated in the face of Exhibit G. "Mrs. Brown," the judge said again, slowly, deliberately, "if you are not able to provide clarity concerning your involvement in the financial decisions made in this recording, the court will go ahead with full consideration of it as evidence of informed collusion." Robyn's mouth opened, but no voice came out. Cody glanced at her for a moment, then away, jaw clenched. For the first time, his silence wasn't protective. It was distancing. Christine's lawyer stood and placed a leather-bound folder on the table. "Your Honor," she said calmly, "we would like to move forward with a document review of Robyn Brown's involvement in the 2018 financial restructuring of Coyote Pass." The folder opened, revealing crisp, color-coded financial statements, wire transfers, and printed emails, each marked with initials, account numbers, and digital timestamps. Christine stood up and proceeded to the projector, setting a copy of one specific document, entitled Disbursement Memo, Phase 2, underneath the lens. This memo, she described softly, was sent to Robyn by Cody's business account. It describes a transfer of $82,000 from the Joint Family Trust to a private LLC registered in Robyn's birth name. The money was applied to the down payment on the second Flagstaff residence. The judge leaned forward. "Was the document corroborated?" Christine nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. Our forensic accountant cross-checked the transfer to IRS Form 1099s provided by the family trust for that year." Robyn signed for the disbursement. "We have the digital certificate." Robyn interrupted then, voice tight but insistent. "But I figured that money was already approved by everyone. I wouldn't have accepted it otherwise." The judge banged his pen on the bench. "You're saying you didn't see the memo called Confidential Transfer Authorization that had 2 spousal consents but only one? Cody Brown's?" Robyn blinked. I just signed what he handed me." Christine's voice was even but slicing as a scalpel. "Exactly. The judge said nothing. She simply faced the court clerk. Please have this memo and the attached account logs entered as Exhibit H. As the clerk stepped forward, Christine sat back down. She didn't smile. She didn't weep. She simply stared straight ahead. The show was done. The ledger had played the starring role, and it was a whole lot more truthful than any fake cry Robyn had ever produced. It was Janelle who testified next. Not with bombast, not with flames, but with exhaustion. Years of standing watch and second-guessing, believing, and ultimately breaking beneath the pressure of silence had etched the expression on her face. Her attorney nodded curtly, and she proceeded with a stack of yellowing manila folders, creased, warped along the edges, but incriminating in their pages. "Your Honor," she started, voice firm but soft, "these are Coyote Pass's property maps and payment records between 2016 and 2020. All 5 lots, including the one Robyn said was just held for legal reasons, but which, as these deeds illustrate, was bought outright with proceeds from our joint account and put in her name alone." The judge waved the papers over. Christine observed as Janelle set them out year by year, tracing not only a map of land, but betrayal. Every parcel purchase had a narrative, every payment entry had a sequence. The 5th lot, the most remote from the road, was the jewel. This, as Janelle indicated a highlighted line, was the only parcel paid in full up front. The rest of us were on payment plans. We had money pooled, we had to make sacrifices, but Robyn cleaned hers for hers. Robyn opened her mouth as if to protest, but Janelle gave her a look, not hot but exhausted. When I asked Cody why it had to be like that, she went on, he said, Robyn's credit was better, that it was only temporary, that we'd all gain later. That was 6 years ago. The courtroom changed. A ripple of unease swept through the gallery. They had all heard the rumors, but now they were seeing the receipts. "Did you speak to him about it at the time?" the judge asked. Janelle nodded. "Yes, several times, but each time I mentioned it, it was a test of loyalty. He'd say I didn't trust him. That Christine was poisoning my head. That Robyn was the sole one who saw the vision." Christine's gaze met Janelle's for a fleeting moment, an unspoken understanding. And when Christine finally departed, Janelle continued, "I cross-checked the parcel ID register. The 5th plot had been transferred under a private LLC, Pass Forward Holdings, registered to Robyn." The judge's eyebrow shot up. "Did you consent to any change in ownership?" "No," Janelle replied. "None of us did." "Aside from him?" Robyn coughed again, her crumpled tissue now wet and distorted. "It was not mine," she breathed. "I believed we were preserving the land." The judge did not even shift in his seat. "And yet you were the one who possessed it." The words hung suspended in space like a gavel already fallen. This was no longer a matter of property. This was a matter of evidence. And Christine and Janelle had a lot more to offer. Christine didn't stir as Janelle sat down, but the dynamic in the room changed at once. Robyn's tears, which had been soft and deliberative, now appeared shallow in the bright light of notarized deeds and payment receipts. The judge waved for the clerk to keep listing exhibits into the record. Behind him, a large easel had been placed earlier, now draped in a charcoal gray cover. Christine rose slowly and approached it. "With your permission," she said, "I'd like to show the court a visual representation of our trust contributions over the past 7 years." The judge nodded. What followed was not just numbers, it was a portrait of imbalance. The wrapper was drawn back to show a pie chart, hand-stamped, color-coded. The portion that covered Christine, Janelle, and Meri together constituted just shy of 30% of the trust's combined financial contributions. Robyn's name totaled less than 10%, but her withdrawals, marked in red, consumed more than 60% of the shared funds. Each time I questioned this, Christine stated matter-of-factly, I was told to be grateful, that it was temporary, that Cody was dealing with it and Robyn was just assisting. She set down a second chart alongside it, this one indicating vehicle ownership, credit use home expenses, and education spending. Between 2017 and 2021, Robyn's family collected close to 3 times the utility and household allowance. She went on, never flinching. And when Gwendolyn required tuition funds, I was informed the fund had no money. A hush rustled in the gallery. There were some of Christine's older children present in the rear. Logan, Gwendolyn, even Pete and Robyn shifted once more. Her lips quivered. A new tissue materialized in her hand, but the judge was already talking. "Mrs. Brown," he said curtly, "if you're having trouble, the court will give you a recess. But I am not going to let these proceedings be interrupted every time the truth is embarrassing to you." A flash of annoyance crossed Robyn's highly controlled face. For an instant, the mask seemed to crack. "Do you think it's easy for me?" she clipped out. "I didn't choose to be the pet. I just did what I was told to do." Christine slowly peeled away, her binder clutched in her hand. "No," she said softly. "You took the job, and you constructed a kingdom on what we weren't permitted to speak." Cody finally moved, his voice a low snarl. "She was the only one who didn't resist me. That's why she was given the trust." The judge raised a hand. "So you acknowledge she was given special money treatment because of personal obedience?" Cody's gaze went to Robyn, then to the table. It was not about obedience. It was about trust. "Trust you did not share with the others," the judge had said bleakly. "I noted that." The gallery hung in silence. There were no whispers, no restlessness, only the crushing weight of discovery bearing down. This was not favoritism. This was manipulation couched in the lexicon of faith, and the court had only just begun to unwrap it. The instant Christine placed the thick black binder on the witness stand, the whole atmosphere in the courtroom changed from speculative scrutiny to expectant horror. It wasn't paper, it was authority. The same binder Cody had once pooh-poohed as Christine's little scrapbook of grievances had turned into a mallet of undeniable fact, color-coded, date-stamped, and notarized. In its folds were monetary transactions, bounced checks, notarized affidavits signed by accountants, email exchanges with TLC producers, and messages that the family could never imagine would be brought before a court. Christine's tone was composed, but every turn of the page was another stake in the coffin of Robyn's meticulously constructed persona. "This is the Venmo transaction between Cody and Robyn's boutique account on December 14th, 2018, Christine stated, turning a laminated page. "Was labeled as Christmas gift. But it was $32,400, she continued. "None of the rest of us got anywhere near that, ever." The judge's brow furrowed. "Did this come out of the family account?" "Yes, Your Honor," Christine replied. "It was paid out of the common Coyote Pass Development Fund." And that's when the courtroom sat up and took notice. This wasn't merely about cronyism, it was about theft. Janelle leaned in, her mouth open. Even Meri, who had remained unusually subdued, visibly braced in her seat. The judge nodded. "Go on." Christine turned to the next page. "This is an invoice from a company that does remodeling out of Flagstaff." Robyn signed it. The work was done on her rental house. But the payment, $48,200, was made from the account that was in the name of Brown Family LLC, not Robyn. Cody squirmed uncomfortably in his seat. His characteristic swagger was lost. Robyn appeared as if her soul had departed the room. Christine did not gloat. She merely handed over each page to the court clerk. "We were told there was no money for surgery for Isabel. We were told to wait on constructing homes at Coyote Pass. But Robyn's house received a new kitchen, a fence, and new flooring." Robyn's whisper cut through the silence. "You don't know what it's like to be the one everyone hates." The judge ignored her. Spending shared funds without permission has a way of causing that response. Cody erupted. "She needed a safe home. That place was in shambles. Then why did you invest $50,000 in chandeliers and a walk-in closet with velvet shelving?" A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Undefined, even the bailiff blinked in astonishment. Undefined. Because Christine held up a printed TLC contract, Robyn's house was rented for filming season 15. She received an upgrade, The judge leaned forward. Undefined. Is that signed by Cody Brown and Robyn Sullivan Brown? Yes, Christine confirmed. Undefined. And the profit-sharing clause was never honored. For the first time, Cody slumped. Undefined. His eyes darted around, as if hoping for an exit that didn't exist. Undefined. Robyn's tears returned, but the judge didn't blink. Undefined. Mrs. Undefined. Brown, he said, voice cold, you may wipe your eyes, but this courtroom will not wipe the record. With that, Christine returned to her seat. Undefined, the binder remained. And with that, Robyn's facade of innocence shattered, page by sacrilegious page. The courtroom had only just steadied from Christine's surgical dismantling of the finances when suddenly, Mr. Cody Brown take the stand, called out the bailiff. A murmur ran through the crowd. This was the moment people had been waiting for. There were no cameras in the room, but dozens of sketch artists rushed to record every aspect of his walk, his stance, his face. Cody walked in with his customary bravado, chest pushed forward, jaw set. But the assurance that had so easily flowed from him was already beginning to crack. He took the oath and sat, catching Robyn's eye where she offered a wide-eyed, tear-glazed nod. But the judge did not allow him to settle in. Mr. Brown, he started, do you admit you had fiduciary duty over the Brown Family LLC account, and included in that account were funds earmarked for community use, like land development, health costs, and emergency family assistance? Cody gulped. Yes, Your Honor. And did you authorize the payment of $32,400 to Mrs. Robyn Brown's boutique company in December 2018? Cody winced. Yes, but no, yet further context required, the judge interrupted. Yes or no? Did Christine Brown know of this transfer at the time? No. Did Janelle? No. Meri? Cody paused. No. And there it was. The demolition of Cody's kingdom, not by ex-wives or the media, but by his own testimony. Mr. Brown, the judge went on, is it true that the same fiscal year your daughter Isabel needed an estimated $50,000 spinal surgery, and the family did not go forward because they couldn't afford it? Cody blinked rapidly. Yes. But... And did Robyn Brown's house have $48,200 worth of upgrades in the same period of time? That money was. It was more complicated than that, he stammered. Please respond to the question. Yes. There was silence in the room once more. The judge slowly nodded. Mr. Brown, can you explain how you distributed family money? I did my best, Cody replied, flashing his eyes. But you have no idea what the pressure was. I was dealing with multiple households, emotional turmoil, and national media attention. Robyn was the most helpful. She didn't struggle like the rest of them. A gasp or two could be heard. Janelle shook her head. Meri dropped her eyes. You're telling me Robyn was rewarded financially for being emotionally compliant? The judge inquired. That's not what I said. It's what you said. Cody lightly pounded his fist on the wooden railing. You're taking my words out of context. They've taken my words out of context all along. The judge raised a hand. This is not a reality television show, Mr. Brown. This is a courtroom, and in court, we handle facts, not emotions. Cody seethed with anger. I gave my entire life to those women, and now they sit there pretending I'm the bad guy? You are not on trial for morality, the judge admonished. You are being tested for financial misconduct and misrepresentation of joint assets. Your personal sacrifices are not part of this trial. For a second, Cody looked like he would bolt. His hand trembled as he reached for the cup of water on the stand. Robyn was shaking her head subtly, mouthing something. It looked like, don't lose it. But it was too late. I'm not a bad person, Cody barked. This court is being manipulated by bitterness, jealousy, and lies. Order the judge administered, slamming the gavel once. One additional outburst, Mr. Brown and I will hold you in contempt. Robyn's eyes appeared as if she would fall over. Cody's shoulders folded as the judge spoke icily. You may step down. And Mr. Brown, this court isn't a pulpit for self-pity. If you keep grandstanding, I will shut you up." As Cody returned to his seat, even his supporters, those who still had hope, started wavering. The mask was off. The court had witnessed not the patriarch, not the peacemaker, not the provider, but the man desperately holding on to control as his world collapsed around him. The courtroom had witnessed spreadsheets, video footage, and even in-person meltdowns, but nothing could match the glacial certainty of what was about to be revealed: the emails. Christine's lawyer took to the front with a thin silver flash drive clutched between two fingers like a loaded gun. "Your Honor," she said, her tone sharper now, "we'd like to enter into evidence a digital file labeled Personal Archive, Brown Family Gmail 2017 to 2021, obtained via subpoena from Google's Legal Compliance Division." Robyn flinched. The flash drive was inserted into the court's main projection system, and the screen came to life with a scrolling PDF. Over 1,000 pages of emails between Cody, Robyn, their financial advisor, a title officer, and even TLC executives. The judge pushed up his glasses. "Proceed." Christine's lawyer started reading from an email sent February 12, 2019. Subject line: RELLC Ownership Structure Request for Privacy. Robyn's email to Cody said, "I know the others will question why my name would be on the property again. Perhaps we should develop another layer, something in my maiden name. It'll make less sense. You can just say it's for tax purposes." A soft gasp rippled through the gallery. The judge rapped his gavel once. Quiet Cody clenched forward, jaws tightening, but it was Robyn whose face froze. "Let's go to another," the lawyer went on, clicking forward. "Here's one dated July 9, 2020. Robyn to the property management company dealing with Coyote Pass infrastructure. Writing, please send all invoices directly to Cody or myself. Christine is not party to planning anymore." Christine wrapped her arms tightly around her chest. "I learned about the email when the contractor ceased returning my calls." The attorney nodded and clicked once more. September 2021. Email from Robyn to a TLC producer. "We can shoot at our house again. The kitchen's finally finished, and I don't think the others are in a position to feature anything. They're all that emotionally tumultuous." The court winced in unison. This was no longer about the money now. This was image control, manipulation. These emails, Christine's attorney continued, weren't discussed with the other wives. They were a private plan to bring real estate, film revenues, and tax protection under the authority of Cody and Robyn, while projecting an altogether family. The judge gazed straight at Robyn. "Do you deny composing these?" "I was merely trying to keep things in order," Robyn stuttered. Christine was so upset. Janelle needed everything explained to her 5 times. "It was better if Cody and I just took charge." "Took charge?" the judge echoed. "That sounds like others agreed. Did they?" Robyn paused, then breathed softly. "No." The courtroom chilled. No righteous anger this time, no tear-wiping defiance. Robyn's voice was nearly depleted now, taken over by resignation. "I trusted Cody," she said. "He told me it would be better this way." Christine stood up again, not to attack, but to clear up. "We all trusted Cody," she said. "That isn't the issue. The issue is Robyn knew precisely what she was signing, and smiled while signing it." The judge leaned back, fingers steepled. "We've now entered into the most dangerous territory of this trial. Not ignorance, not favoritism, but intention." Robyn didn't speak. She didn't cry. For the first time, she didn't have to. Her words had done enough damage, years ago, and now the courtroom was simply catching up. Christine rose to the stand with a calm that felt more like quiet devastation than strength. The courtroom, once a cacophony of activity and whispers, dropped into complete silence. No grand entrances, no trembling hands. Just a woman, at last ready to be heard. "Ms. Brown," the judge started, "you've been charged with being emotionally reactive, with leaving duties pertaining to Coyote Pass. Would you like to reply before counsel cross-examines you?" Christine nodded. "Yes, Your Honor." "I didn't leave." I was pushed out slowly, deliberately by people who smiled at me while doing it. A beat passed. The words struck like glass breaking. Christine's attorney approached with the confidence of someone who knew the truth was now their strongest weapon. Christine, let's go back to 2020, when the family was finalizing the lot divisions for Coyote Pass. What did you believe was your role at the time? I believed we were working together, Christine replied. Yet I kept being told by Robyn that things had shifted, decisions had been made, that I had to trust the process. Did you at least see any of the completed documents at the time? No. I was informed they were still being vetted by Cody and the lawyers. Who was financing the legal bills? Christine didn't even blink. The family account. All of us. That single phrase, all of us, was the turning point. It sliced through all the spreadsheets, the emails, the tearful depositions like a knife. Because the courtroom finally got it. Christine was paying for her own erasure. And when did you discover your name was not on any active deeds? Around 6 months after I left, she replied in a gentle whisper. A title clerk came up to me and asked if I still wanted notices for Brown Family Development LLC since the only owners it listed were Cody and Robyn. The gallery gasped. Even Robyn's attorney glanced down. Did Robyn ever discuss this with you? Christine swallowed hard. No. She said it was Cody's choice and that I should prey on it. That hurt worse than anything. Robyn winced at those words. But this wasn't about feelings anymore. It was about decisions. And Robyn's paper trail now had a voice behind it. One final question the lawyer asked. Why did you choose to testify today after all that has happened? Christine gazed out over the courtroom. Because I needed to say it out loud. Not just for myself, for Meri, for Janelle, for the children. And yes, for Robyn as well. Because I believe even she had forgotten what honesty sounds like. That last sentence shattered the courtroom wide open like thunder. The judge inclined forward. Robyn, would you care to answer that? She nodded her head, her lip trembled, but no tears fell. Not today. No, she whispered. She's right. And that was it. The tide changed. Robyn's tears, the highlight of her defense, weren't there anymore. The courtroom had waited for them, braced for them, but now, all they had was silence. And in that silence, the manipulation echoed louder than any poem ever could. When Meri took the stand again, the energy in the room shifted once more. If Christine's testimony had struck at the emotional core, Meri's next move would be the fatal blow, one that would leave Robyn's credibility shattered beyond repair. The judge had hardly nodded before Meri's lawyer rose and proclaimed, Your Honor, we now enter Exhibit B, an authenticated chain of emails dated March 14, 2021, sent from Robyn Brown's personal account to a title law firm working on the Coyote Pass subdivision. A stage whisper of a collective inhale shot through the gallery. The screens came to life. And then, there it was. The initial email was simple to read. Hi Dana, please take Christine's name off any further paperwork. Cody and I talked about it, and we both think it's no longer fitting considering her attitude, Robyn. One sentence, one date, one decision. Meri, still testifying on the stand, addressed the jury box. That was written 3 months prior to Christine even making the announcement that she was leaving the family, before she even knew about the legal games. Robyn's tears were practiced before the betrayal ever started. The courtroom gasped. Even Cody flinched in his seat, blinking hard, as if witnessing the betrayal for the first time. His arm extended toward Robyn automatically, then retracted, as if he'd been burned. The prosecution latched onto the moment. Meri, when you approached Robyn about this email, what did she say? Meri laughed once, bitter and broken. She said that I got the tone wrong. The judge brought down his gavel. Let the court note that tone cannot alter the legal effect of a signed directive to take away someone's property rights. He stared at Robyn straight in the eye. "Explain this." Robyn rose, her hands trembling, not with sorrow, but with the realization that she had just seen her whole strategy disintegrate. "I was trying to protect the family from further fragmentation," she started. "Cody was drowning. He asked me to take care of some of the logistics." She let her words fade away as the judge held up his hand. "That's not what the email says." And just like that, her tears no longer had an audience. Even the gallery, which once gasped, wept, and argued Robyn's alleged vulnerability, now gazed at her in frigid incredulity. It wasn't merely fraud, it was emotional fraud. The kind that doesn't appear on accounting ledgers but wounds deeper. Meri tossed in, "I brought this because I thought she would lie again under oath, and I would have had to live with myself if I hadn't stopped her." Silence. Then the judge finally leaned back in his chair and whispered, "Enough manipulation." This moment became the fulcrum on which the trial pivoted, not just legally, but emotionally. No more sympathy, no more excuses, just facts, just betrayal, simple accountability. The courtroom was no longer divided when Christine took the stand for her rebuttal. It was united in suspicion. The gallery, which had been filled with Robyn's sympathizers, now leaned forward in silent rage. The prosecution had reserved its last card for this purpose, and Christine was ready. Held in her hand was the red binder of infamy, a reminder of all Robyn sought to keep hidden and all the judge was soon to learn. "I never thought I'd need to bring this again," Christine said, setting it down on the witness stand. "But following Robyn's recent revelations, I have no choice." She opened the tab labeled Personal Accounts, and inside were handwritten entries, screenshots, and calendar entries, all entered in real time over the last 18 months prior to leaving the family. One entry in particular made the courtroom stir. June 12, 2021. Robyn tells Cody he's too soft on Meri and should cut off her access to land documents. Cody nods and says, "I'll handle it." Christine looked directly at the judge. That same week, Meri's login credentials for the shared family document system were disabled. She thought it was a glitch. It wasn't. The judge raised an eyebrow and signaled for the clerk sign-up. Within minutes, a subpoena request was granted to see the server logs from the family document portal. Sign up. The courtroom exploded. Sign up, Robyn rose, now more openly hostile. "You don't know what he asked me to do." Cody was spinning out of control. "I was just safeguarding what we had remaining," but Christine didn't bat an eyelash. "You weren't safeguarding anything. You were constructing an empire, Robyn. One where you're the queen, Cody's the puppet, and the rest of us?" "Undefined. We were disposable." She held up another page, a financial record showing a $31,000 transfer to a private estate planning consultant, marked with Robyn's initials, and dated 2 days after Janelle asked for clarity on her portion of Coyote Pass. The judge massaged his temples and grumbled, "This is a pattern." "If that is true," the judge stated, "then Robyn Brown is not only emotionally manipulative, she's culpable under the law." Cody, in the defense table, leaned over and whispered something to his attorney. "Undefined." Christine caught it. "Perhaps we should have burned the binder." She turned back to him. "Undefined." "You should have treated us like wives rather than roadblocks." The atmosphere was strained. Undefined. Outside the courthouse, protesters and supporters were beginning to gather. Others carried signs that said "Justice for the OG3" and "Robyn lied, we cried." Inside, Christine shut the binder slowly. "I kept records because I didn't trust what would be remembered." Undefined. Now I know why. The judge nodded once, to the bailiff, who rolled the binder away into evidence. Undefined. "Thank you, Christine," he said. Undefined. "That will be all, for now." And with that, the story completely imploded around Robyn. From arguabes no longer well up in her eyes. Her defenses were no longer in place. Her kingdom, constructed of fibs, cronyism, and shame, now was crumbling in real time. As the red binder vanished into the evidence room, Robyn Brown's facade fell apart completely. She stood up without invitation from the defense table, weeping uncontrollably on her cheeks. Not the dainty tears of an innocent wife, but the racking, gulping sobs of a trapped manipulator. "You don't know what it's been like, Kyle. I was alone with the burden of holding this family together," she screamed, her voice echoing off the walls of the courtroom like a stricken beast. "They all deserted Cody. They turned me into the bad guy when all I ever did was try to assist." The court was stunned. The judge's gavel cracked once, hard and unyielding. "Mrs. Brown," he spoke with somber control, "this is a court of law, not a confessional booth. You will take a seat and you will act accordingly." But Robyn, unusually, did not obey. "No," she snapped over her tears. "This is all they are doing. Christine poisoned the family. Janelle wanted to control everything. Meri gave up on Cody before I ever got here." The judge rose, and when a federal judge rises, the courtroom realizes something irreversible is about to occur. "Bailiff, escort Mrs. Brown from the room until she regains control," he said without emotion. As the officers approached her, Robyn cried louder dramatically, falling to her knees. "You're letting them do this to me," she howled. "This is what they wanted." But the judge had heard enough. Let the record reflect, he told Robyn as she was lifted gingerly off the floor, that Mrs. Robyn Brown has consistently employed emotional tantrums as a strategy to delay, deflect, and derail this legal proceeding. Her conduct today is not merely unbecoming, it is manipulative and obstructive. And this court isn't concerned with performance. Aside from this point on, the judge boomed, "Robyn Brown will be dealt with not as a bereaved wife, but as a defendant in a scheme of financial deception and family fraud." The room erupted into whispers. Cody sat still in eerie silence, his eyes fixed straight ahead like a man watching the blueprints of his empire go up in flames. Meri shared a look with Christine, one not of triumph, but of vindication. Even Janelle appeared shocked. This wasn't favoritism anymore. This was legal validation of years of manipulation disguised as martyrdom. Outside, reporters caught wind of what transpired indoors. Hashtags such as #FakeTears, Robyn, #Justice, for Janelle, and #Binder of Truth started trending in minutes. A legal commentator on a local news stream put it best. "We just saw the mask slip in real time. And the judge didn't just see it, he reacted with precedent." Inside, while Robyn was finally being let out, the judge spoke to both legal teams. "We will pick up tomorrow with closing arguments. But let me be unequivocal. If either side so much as makes another exploitative appeal for sympathy instead of proof, I will order a mistrial and seek contempt charges." The word was loud. The theatrics had hit a fever pitch. But the courtroom was no longer one of family devotion. It was one of legal justice. And Robyn had only just demonstrated to all the onlookers that the tears were never for healing, that they were for control. The last day of court came in a silence that even the media helicopters hovering overhead couldn't penetrate. Inside the chamber, the air was thick with tension. The bailiff called the court into session, and Judge Halbert arrived with the same blank face that had in recent weeks become the emblem of unbreakable rigor. But today there was a difference. He had read each bank statement, every contract, every email. He had read the notorious binder. He had witnessed Robyn's melodramatic breakdown. And now he was prepared to make up his mind. Christine sat stiffly, shoulders back, one fist gripping a chain that used to hold a wedding ring. Janelle spoke in a whisper to her attorney, her face iron but inscrutable. Meri, initially standoffish, now leaned forward in real expectation. The gallery was packed. And then there was Robyn, off center stage now, no longer the weeping martyr, but a defendant sitting under order of court, eyes cast down, lips shaking, mascara dulled. Cody sat next to her, drained of his obstinacy, looking like a man compelled to witness the razing of a house he had sworn was invincible. The judge spoke. "This court has seen overwhelming proof of obfuscation, emotional manipulation, and outright hiding of the joint family assets behind the veil of personal need. What was put before us did not merely create a picture of financial mismanagement, but a troubling pattern of using emotion as a shield against examination. Gasps sliced through the room. Robyn's mouth dropped open. "This is not a courthouse for tears," the judge stated. "This is a courthouse for truth." The judge went on, his voice in crescendo like thunder over parched land. Mrs. Robyn Brown intentionally diverted joint family income to private accounts. She did so while acting the victim, using emotional pressure, and intimidating those who dared challenge her. Mr. Cody Brown made this deception possible and permitted his role of religious and legal authority to legitimize it. Both parties to this court are in deliberate disregard of laws of equitable distribution as established under plural marital property statutes. Christine's jaw wavered, but she smiled. Janelle blinked rapidly. Meri's face cracked, not with sadness, but sheer, raw relief. "In accordance with the law," the judge said, "this court orders the freezing of all personal accounts held under Robyn Alice Brown's name pending further investigation. Additionally, $1.4 million in disputed assets shall be placed in a neutral trust until further audit. Custody of the remaining family property, including Coyote Pass, will be turned over to a court-appointed fiduciary." And then, the gavel came down. Court recessed. Reporters outside shouted into microphones. A milestone ruling, an emotional manipulator rendered powerless. Coyote Pass is no longer Cody's domain. Within the courtroom, the sister wives, Christine, Janelle, and Meri, hugged for the first time on record. The courtroom had not only decided money, it had adjudicated decades of gaslighting, favoritism, and lies. The truth, suppressed for so long under TLC deals and spiritual rationalizations, now forever set down in transcripts of law. Robyn was let out, her formerly dominant presence substituted with empty quiet. Undefined Cody followed, eyes scanning but unseeing, like a man waking to his own self-destruction. The outsiders on the street didn't applaud. They stood in stunned silence.